Hello, everyone, and welcome to your favorite show, Nari to Narayani, presented by Inspiring Indian Women and MATV. I'm Sneha Jain, your host for today, and the title for this episode is Extraordinary You Freedom and Responsibility. And as panelists, we have two special people joining us and sharing their unique journey of selfless service and perseverance. But as usual, let me start off the episode with a few lines that I've written, and as usual, I'm hoping to inspire someone along the way. When I struggle to survive and cry through the night, when future seems bleak and tomorrow brings fright, with my feet all shackled on a road so long, so far I have tackled, and I will stay strong. When I fail to fly engulfed in a jinx, for those holding me high, becoming my wings, I muster the courage with a striking flare to melt the pain with a glistening glare. In the darkest of clouds and the heaviest of rain, I become the baton and lead the lane. This determination of mine is not arbitrary. It has to be me. I am extraordinary. And with this determination in mind, let me please welcome our two very honorable guests. First, Sonu Malkani ji, who is a determined community leader who's active in policing as well and also a spiritual personality. Welcome, Sonu ji. And the second guest is Vandana Khurana, who's a proud NHS worker, a poet, an author, and a devoted community worker. Hello, Vandana ji.
Namaskar. Hello.
So let's start off with Sonuji. Sonuji, could you please tell us something about yourself?
Well, basically, I'm a volunteer. I've been volunteering for the past 45 years in Harrow and also in other parts of London, but mainly in the borough of Harrow. And I'm a housewife. I'm also a carer and many other things. Like most of us have got many personalities. I guess I'm the same as all of us.
Cool, good to know. And Vandana ji, over to you. Would you like to tell us something about yourself, your personality, your life?
Yeah. First of all, thanks to MATV and Inspiring Indian Women for bringing us all together today and considering us being extraordinary. But I feel every one of us have been blessed as a unique personality, and all of us have that extraordinary shine in us. So it's just that it just happens to be us today in front of. But I consider myself to be blessed in a family where I've been raised to respect the human being as a human being, first of all. And then that kinds of encompasses all my journey of whatever I do, whether it be a daughter, a sister, a mother, a hospital worker, a community worker, a friend, whatever you put a name to that role, but it just drills down to being a human first of all. So thank you.
That's very well said. All of us are humans first. And if we have that kind of vision always in our mind, we'd probably consider everyone, we'll see everyone with the same eyes and then treat everyone equally and everything like that. So very well said. Vandana ji, you mentioned, and we know that you are a community worker, so you do a lot for community. Can you throw some light on it?
Thank you so much. It just happens to be that as I said, I always get appreciated for what I do within the community, but it's just, I think, part of what I feel comes naturally to me. And how things have developed is when we moved to UK, when I joined my husband about 27 years ago to come to UK, because of the NHS jobs, we kept on relocating from one place to another. And with a family of three, with my daughter arriving, we finally ended up staying on a permanent job in Norfolk, which is the easternmost point of UK. So we are working in James Paget in Galston, which is Great Yarmouth. And when we came here, the journey of getting involved with community was a natural desire or a need, more than a desire, a need, because there were very few people from our subcontinent or diaspora you would see. And with my children growing up, with my daughter especially, finding with her friends that there is a church or a social place where they go and see each other, I had to look for families from our subcontinent to connect. And that is how bringing them all together and being a part of the communities where my journey started.
I think I'd like to add here. Can I add something here?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
When you said
Absolutely.
something about,
Welcome, Sonaji.
yeah, because I think what
Yeah.
Vandana has just said is that just to be part of the community and to add to your community, we're not just here for ourselves. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been here now 53 years plus, and
Wow.
right from the
Super.
beginning, yeah, right from the beginning, I wasn't
Super.
volunteering
Super.
when I arrived, but I went. I had some experience in media at the start. You know, there was a commercial
Right.
organizations, and then of course into selling property, which is estate agency work. So you come in contact with people and you learn a lot about yourself while you're learning from people. And I actually went to Florida as well, selling real estate. But then when you come here, I came here basically with my husband and wanted to just have a family life. I had no plans of going to work in an office or to have a career or go volunteering. None of these things even entered my mind, to be perfectly honest with you. It just happened by chance, you know. And if you say what my real interest and passion has been so far, I've been very heavily involved in the policing sector, which I got into quite by chance. Because it so happens my
Yes.
father was a senior police officer, it was just as well I had some idea how to deal with police officers and be very much at ease. I was racially abused on my own doorstep without realizing it. I didn't even know what racism meant. There are many subtle forms of racism, and I was then invited by the gentleman who was an Englishman to come and join his committee. He begged me literally and said, "No Asian ladies or anybody wants to join in this." And I said, "Come on then, you got me." So I stepped up to it, and before I knew it, a couple of years later, I was chairing that committee, and I'm knee deep, or shall I say, neck deep, in policing in every particular form you can think of. You know, there's so many different sectors to policing. You've got all sorts of things, you know, like honor killings, you've got racism, you've got hate
Yes.
crime,
Yes.
you must have heard of stop and search, where there's so much
Yeah.
contention, all
Knife
sorts of,
crime.
so many,
Yeah. Yeah.
counterterrorism, everything that affects everybody, all our safety issues of any citizen who lives in this country, anybody who is even visiting gets affected, you know. So that's a very big, huge range of topics, and it's enormously um, varied, enormously interesting. And I must say, I've had a huge amount of support all the way from not only just from the Met Police, but from those who knew a lot more about it. If you're open minded, that's the main thing. If you're open minded and happy to learn from others, every single day, even now, you learn. You learn something new even from a kid, you know, in a neighborhood. Isn't that
Yeah.
right, Wanda? And
Absolutely.
then, of course, the other,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think she wants to say something. Let her say it before I go on.
No, no,
No,
no.
I was
Please
just saying
carry on.
absolutely.
I was
Okay,
conferring. I was
all
just
right.
conferring to what you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah, and the spiritual aspect, I think a lot of my feelings, a lot of my deep seated feelings about anything, especially to do with volunteering, comes from my spiritual bent of mind. I think it's probably something I was born with, that samskar or something. And I also had parents who were spiritually inclined. So, right from the beginning, I've been totally thinking, how do you contribute? How do you give something back to your own society? Because you can't just go on taking all the time. If you go on taking, that bank account, whether you're a billionaire or something, it's going to crash someday. You have to put something back in the kitty. And I think if you're living in a country, I mean, we're living here abroad, this is our mother country, they've adopted us and welcomed us and taken us to our bosom so heartily. At least I've had a very good experience. So I think, well, never mind, I lived 21 years in India and I was born Indian. I'm fiercely proud of being Indian. But I also owe a huge amount to this society in which has sustained me and, you know, given us so many chances, as Vandana said.
Absolutely. And when you mention about home and India, and I understand there are so many people who are migrating from their countries, hometowns and countries into this country. And yeah, there would be negative aspects, but there are positive aspects as well. But yeah, I totally understand when Vandana ji, you did mention that you missed at that point in time, you missed home. You were just newly married into a family, you had children. So on that point, Vandana, I want to understand what is it that you missed about home and what were the aspects that you actually missed, and how did you try to overcome them here in London or say the UK?
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Sneha. And I totally agree, and I'll continue from Sonuji's point of saying that yes, we have two motherlands, one where we got birth, and one where we came in search of our livelihood or sustainability of life. So definitely having huge respect for both of our motherlands. But you know, when you're young, when you have dreams of achieving well professionally, as well as you want to really grow up, and there is an aspiration of that dreams that really makes you very courageous to explore distant lands. And we ended up here, uh, had a family, and I think we were very young, probably not missing so much because we were doing our family prayers. And but when we moved places from Birmingham or London to say Norfolk, is when it really struck hard to us, because you wouldn't see anybody from the same diaspora around you. And to add to it was my daughter's comment. She comes from school on Friday, and she talks about, how come my friend goes to church every Sunday? Why don't we go anywhere? And that is which really hit us hard. And we were in that age where there wasn't so much of social media at that time that you could connect to your family. We had to make a phone call or rely on the letters to connect to people. And even here in Norfolk, people were really spread far and away. The closest town where we could meet people is about 25 miles away, which is, it
Okay.
takes about an hour's journey. Yeah, which used to take. So when that thing came up, then we made up a mind to connect. We luckily had friends who shared the same set. So we started hiring up village hall, a church hall, sorry. Luckily, the church chaplain, he was really very welcoming. So he gave us the community hall to carry our prayers and have the community meet up. So this is the time where you're developing into understanding, yes, this is your social need as well, apart from other needs. This is what you're missing, your culture, your religious aspects, your things which you want to bring up as a heritage and pass on to your children. That's where that awakening form comes up at that phase of life when you're 28, 30. When that's when I'm talking about. And that which drew us, with the help of our friends, Dr. Nagpals, we hired the church hall. Then we started finding from directory the surnames. She being a GP knew many people, so we had the contact number. So we would be ringing up everyone, telling them this is what we are going to do. Please join us. And the whole purpose was to bring the religion and the cultural roots, what we had inherited, to be passed on to the generation which is being brought up here, and also have an opportunity to connect with people living here, so that we can have that, yeah, we could share the festivals and our cultural experiences together.
You had a
I was
very different
actually
experience,
thinking
huh?
on this one, Nancy, when you did mention that, to pass on the religious, say, beliefs
So,
and culture to the children. But then when you mentioned that you wanted to connect, because that was probably the immediate need, and not just for you, it probably it was a need all across, because nobody was connected. I totally understand. Facebook, WhatsApp was not there back in then, so makes sense.
That's right.
So, Ji, on that point, when Mandana ji mentioned that, it's a very small point, but I picked it up, that the church hall was given to them for their, and I assume it would be Hindu, I guess, the rituals and the community gatherings and festivals. So it's a kind of, inclusive atmosphere that she got here.
yes,
And
that's true. But I had
but
a
they
very
said
different.
independence. Yeah. So, but I
I
would want
actually
to
had a very
ask
different
you.
experience.
Yeah, I would
I,
want you to tell us about that experience, and also to, share your views on freedom. So, what do you think freedom is? Because definitely Independence Day
as
is also around the corner. So, I would like
Yes.
to touch on
Now,
that.
I think Vandana has had a very different experience to mine, because I came here as only 21. My husband had deliberately disconnected himself from the Indian community as a student and whatever. He was doing his own thing. So when I came back here, first thing I said is, let's move somewhere. Let's be somewhere close to London, where at least I'll see some Indians, some people who I can relate to,
Yeah.
and try to find out where we are. And because I was in Harrow right from the beginning, I was very lucky. Or actually, we started in Ealing Broadway, and then we came to Harrow. We met a number of Indians. We met a number of other people as well. And I was encouraged. I had an aunt living in Ealing, an elderly aunt who guided me to some extent. But to be perfectly honest with you, about religion, tradition, I never had any worries about it because I was quite traditional myself. I used to observe fast at home and read a lot of, do my own puja parts, so I didn't really have to worry about finding somebody to try and connect. And because we are Sindhis, we also believe in the Sikh religion, so we used to just ferry across to the Gurdwara in Southall, which was quite handy for us, you know. And
That's
we
the
had
beauty of
Hindu.
London, you know. That's the beauty
Well,
of
in
London. The
London,
people who
we go
are
to
in Norfolk and
yeah, we used to go to Shepherd's Bush even. I don't some of you will remember that. That's the original place we used to go to. So I had no difficulties on that one. And I never had to look for a hall or a church hall or anything like that. But it's very nice this is in Birmingham that happened with you, yeah? And then after
Oh,
that,
no, Norfolk, yeah. This
Norfolk,
is
I
in
beg your pardon.
Norfolk that is
And then
happening,
when I
yeah.
then when I moved to Pinner, which is also in Harrow, I was exceedingly lucky to have the Sai Baba, the very first Sai Baba center that had opened in England, within 5 minutes walking distance. I just can't believe it. I used to walk past it. I didn't even know it until, a few years later. So I then started taking my young son, who was 7 by then, to Bal Vikas classes and all the rest of it. And he learned a lot more and came and taught me all the Sanskrit shlokas and stuff which I never had learned back home, which is sad because in my time, Sanskrit was not part of our educational curriculum, but it is now, I'm very happy to say.
yeah, we're
And
lucky. We did have it as part of
yes,
our
but
culture.
you
Yeah.
can. The thing is, it doesn't matter what you miss out in life. If you really want to make up for it, you can make up at any time in your life.
Any
There's no time limit on these things. It's down to you. It's no use blaming the whole world. I mean, now when we're gone at some fine day, Bombay, Pune is going to look very different to how it was in our time. And we don't have to feel envious. We have to feel very happy that the next lot are going to have all these lovely metros and all sorts of things happening, exciting things. I don't regret a single thing that's happened in my life because I think it was meant to be. And I'm a great believer in God and samskars and all those sort of things. Because I'm a Hindu as well. I do believe very much. I'm more traditional than my mom used to be. I'm quite conservative in my thinking, funny enough. And it's strange. We had an arranged marriage, whereas my parents had a love marriage. We're very different in that respect. Everybody's different, isn't it?
That's a good fact to know. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that with us,
Yes,
Sonali.
yes, yes.
I would definitely want to touch
Yeah.
upon the same
Ask
question
about
again.
independence. You asked about what does
Yeah.
independence mean.
Yeah,
Well,
what is freedom to
independence.
you actually? So everybody,
Well,
in on
freedom
books
is a
it's
very big
different,
word.
but for you, what
Freedom
it is?
Freedom is a very big word, and it has so many connotations according to how you perceive life or how you are, where you're brought up, your culture. And I think your definition of freedom changes as you grow older. I mean, as a child, you think you're free. If I'm allowed to go out and play when I want, eat what I want, have as many chocolates as I want. But as you get older, you realize that with freedom means the freedom to speak freely, express yourself freely. But I also think it has, and to also be able to do the things you wish to do within limits. Obviously, you can't get everything that you want, but if you get most of the things that you want out of life at some point, then you feel quite satisfied. But also with it comes a huge raft of responsibilities. I think this is something people forget. Duties and rights. Freedom is a right of every individual. I do believe we are entitled to be free as human beings, but with it comes the responsibility of making sure that you have the duties that go with it in order we can sustain that independence, that freedom, and be respectful of one another. You don't go around expressing yourself and say any old thing to any old person, be abusive if you like, and say, well, that's my free speech. Well, we're not free to abuse. We're free to speak, express, and to say things, but you still have to have respect for one another. Otherwise, you're not a free individual. You're a troublemaking individual. Sorry, but that's my view.
That's absolutely right. One cannot be just going insane on the roads and doing things that
But
probably
people
bothers
do.
others. Yeah,
People do, so you have road rage. This is exactly how it happens.
you're right. Okay. Same question to you, Vannaji. What do you think freedom is to you?
Yeah, I think for me again, when we were talking about, just to add on to the last where we finished up, the need of having that community association. I'll just take it from there. We, as Sonuji said, yes, we were lucky In a sense, we got that, but there had been a lot of hard work gone before that, because we got a lot of rejections beforehand. So we probably tapped every door, council, and everywhere to get us a place where we could get the community together. But then this was eventually a fruit of a perseverance, and I'm really grateful to the church, St. Mary's Church Hall in Great Yarmouth, and all the friends and community who then supported the initiation, because they were doing it in pockets. As I said, the 25 miles away in Norwich, there is a Gujarati community. Then there are Bengali or South Indian communities who probably knew each other, which is much more now, but not at that point. But now that we have been able to then progress from that hall to buying a rundown pub and converting into a temple. The first one, that was a pub conversion into a temple, which is a history in itself. And this is all to the dedication of all members who've shown trust and faith in our vision of continuing. So this is the first temple in east of England, and it has been covered a couple of times on different programs, but that's a different story. Coming back to your question on freedom, again, as Sonuji said, yes, freedom and responsibility are the two sides of the coin, and I totally agree with that. Drilling back down to one simple thing, one simple rule I obey in my life, and I feel really links up to everything, is being a human at your heart. If you take up those core values, you will automatically show respect to the other person. You will show respect to their ideology, and to express your feeling within the constraint of showing respect to the other person. So being responsible at the same time, where you're trying to get your way of life in life, and get your way moving ahead in life.
I think really, basically, isn't it? How would you like to be treated? So if you treat the other person like that, you don't have to sit and think about anything. It just automatically happens, doesn't it? I don't want somebody abusing me, so why should I abuse another person?
Yeah, so it's like your behavior should be the mirror of what you want from others. Absolutely
Exactly.
right. And on that point, and it's a very good point to take a break, I would say. We will need to take a quick break. And to the audience, do not go anywhere. We have just started our discussion, so we'll be right back.
No problem.
Stay tuned.
Thank you.
When Tony passed, we wanted to celebrate him his way. All he ever spoke about was bite this, bite that. I'll never forget our first date. Huge grin on his face as he rode up on that big noisy thing. And that's exactly the way he'd want to be remembered.
At Co-op, we know everyone is different. That's why we offer funeral plans to funeral services that are personal every step of the way. Co-op, it's what we do.
At TalkTalk, we're helping the nation to save money on their broadband. Right now, you could save over £200 versus BT and EE over 18 months on 900 megabits per second full fibre with total home Wi-Fi for just £49 a month. Powered by Amazon Eero with total home Wi-Fi and no setup fees. Keep more money in your pocket. Save over £200 with TalkTalk. Deals that make sense. Search TalkTalk. TalkTalk for everyone.
This is an appeal to stop some of the most disgusting scenes I've ever had to film. Scenes that you may find upsetting. Filming scenes like this is heartbreaking. I've seen children like Dauda having to drink dirty water from rivers, swamps and holes dug deep into the ground. This water was filthy with rotting leaves, insects and disease. It smelt awful. I've seen dirty water making babies sick. No wonder it makes their mums so worried. As a new grandfather myself, I can't bear to think that every sip could kill. That's why I want you to stop these scenes today. You can help bring clean water to a child right now by calling or texting WaterAid to give £2 a month. WaterAid and local experts are already in communities who need clean water, ready to install life-saving pipes, pumps and taps. I've seen the difference your £2 a month can make. With clean water, everything changes. The children are full of energy, full of life, full of hope for the future. Thanks to people like you and me, WaterAid have already brought clean water to over 25 million people. But we can't stop until it's in the hands of every child. In the next 2 minutes, another child would die from dirty water, poor sanitation or hygiene. So please give now to help save a child's life. Text the word water to 83222 or call WaterAid now on 0800 044 3366 to give £2 a month. Thank you.
For your free brochure, call 0800 999 5555 now. Rise, recline, relax with Oak Tree Mobility.
With ClearScore's new ClearSaver, share information from your current account and you can instantly save with exclusive card and loan offers. Download the free ClearScore app now.
When you can buy bespoke just for you from a real person. Why buy boring? Shop Etsy.
Prescription is perfect. The prescription is actually perfect.
Really clear vision, feel comfortable. These are great.
I think I do need to stress the quality of the glasses. It just feels, really good.
Retail somewhere around £50, something like that. They feel really good quality. They don't feel cheap at all. £6 for everything.
For £6, you really can't go wrong. Even if you've got a backup pair of glasses, I think you really can't go wrong.
When that's the value that you can get, why would you shop anywhere else?
It's easy to save money when you're a Co-op member. We send personalised offers to your phone every week. The only hard bit is choosing what you buy with them. Do you go for something you need? Or your favourite treat? The good news is you can have both. And every time you buy Co-op products, you support your community. Join today and get £3 off your next shop when you spend £10. Download the app, choose your offer and start saving. Co-op is what we do.
I was between jobs after my son was born.
I worked in a call centre.
Didn't go to university.
I had a look at the AAT website.
I never saw myself as an accountant.
You don't need to be good at maths. It's given me the skills I need
to get a more rewarding job.
It's made me feel really proud to have my qualification.
From school leavers to career changers, over 80,000 people study AAT every year. Get the skills employers need with an AAT course.
I'm an accounting professional.
Visit the website or call this number now.
Welcome back everyone to your favorite show Nari to Narayani, and I'm joined with Sonuji and Vannaji today. And the topic for today's discussion is extraordinary you, freedom and responsibility. The reason why we have this topic majorly is because the Indian Independence Day is really around the corner, and we would like to know from our distinguished guests what it is to be free and what is the meaning of freedom and what responsibilities does it entails with it, and what are the other things that we could be doing to help mankind, our fellow country people, and in the country where we are, how can we repay to both these nations. So back to you, Sonuji.
Yes, I think you asked a very
about
question.
Freedom and responsibilities, but then, and you also touched upon a very, very common saying that, more power brings responsibilities along. So what is what would you want to say as part of the responsibilities? I totally understand that being sane and being empathetic to people is one thing, but what do you think there are the responsibilities?
For example, if you're living here, you're working here, you're obviously benefiting from the country in which you live. Doesn't matter where you live. If you're living in England, you're benefiting here. If you're living in India, you're benefiting there. You can't say that you live in the country and you can, because I do X, Y, Z, or I make money for the company, I'm doing the country a favor. You're not. You have to ask yourself, what am I doing for the country in which I'm living, which is sustaining me? And what am I going to leave behind? Some fine day, we all have finite lives. We will be gone. What is going to be my legacy to the country in which I've lived or the country in which I've come from. I think we owe to both. As I said, we've got both mothers, so we owe to both. You can't just walk off, Now, India is where we grew up and we got all our values and our culture and our heritage. It's such a rich heritage. I don't know that we can ever pay back. It's like trying to pay back your own mom and dad. You're never going to do enough. But you can make a contribution. It's not just about money. People think, oh, you have to be a billionaire or something. Nothing like that. Small acts of, when you go back on holiday, for example, you could do something there for somebody who's not doing so well. Or you might go to an institute and find out, do they need any help? Maybe you can contribute in some other ways from here. You might be able to bring them some knowledge, or you put them in touch with people from abroad who could, enhance their works. There's lots of different little things if you put your mind to it. Again, when you're living here, all you have to do is to think in your home, what are the things I'm best at? Not everybody is a keep fit enthusiast or very physically made and can go around delivering. I had friends who went out in the COVID delivering meals. I couldn't do that. First of all, I can't drive. I'm absolutely useless. If I were to do that, there'd be a problem here. And second thing is, you have to be physically fit, but you also have to have your mind has to be such. You might be good at counseling. You might be good at listening to somebody who's feeling very down. You might be very good at singing some bhajans. You could have done that on the Zoom, or getting a Bollywood thing going to cheer people up. I had people who were dancing on there. I remember Jay Kumar from Rainers Lane. He was actually putting out yoga sessions and dancing and cheering people up. Little things like this. Or you could pop out into your neighborhood and see, is there an elderly, vulnerable person? Might be a young mother, might be an elderly person. Do they need some shopping? Do they need some groceries? Just acts of kindness which you're doing from your heart, not because you're going to make them feel obligated, because as a human being, you are reacting and responding in the way that you would like somebody to have done for your parent or for yourself sometime. And I'm sure, Vandana, you also feel the same way. There's lots and lots of things we can do in this country. We can educate people about our culture. We can pass so many beautiful traditions and help tips to them. A lot of people in the West admire the Indian traditions far more than our own people. We're learning to value ours the hard way. They know more about yoga and deep breathing and pranayama than a lot of us, and so many things we can not only just share with people here, but there's a lot in the culture here as well that we can learn and we can enrich ourselves. You don't have to say only Indian culture is good and the British culture. This is nonsense. This is a very one side, and that is racist. I'm sorry. If we don't want people to be racist towards us and say things about us, then we must also have a big, generous heart and a big, huge mind, where all the windows are open and let the sun shine in. Otherwise, you're going to be in darkness for the rest of your life, isn't it?
Oh, very well said. Very well said.
I'm sure
Nothing
Vandana
more
finds
to be said on this, actually. So, Vandana, your thoughts on our responsibility?
But I must tell us much more, because she's actually working hands-on in the NHS, and you come across people, don't you, all the time?
Absolutely, and I truly admire your passion and what wise sharings you have already shared. So just to add on to that, coming to your question again, Sneha, about what responsibilities, I think it's rightly said that don't ask what your country can do for you. Say what you can do for your country. And we can, as Sonuji said, we can offer at every level. As I earlier said, we all have a unique gift. It could be, in Hindi, they say tan man dhan se seva kar sakte hain. So if it's not only money, when you're working and you're contributing to an economy of a country, that's one fundamental thing. Yes, that's good. You're contributing to the economy in one way by being working and not relying on countries' resources. That's good. But then also you can do by volunteering in different forms, as said on or using any of the forms. You can help. You can be a volunteer with the religious activities, social activities, and also when we talk about this is the example which I felt for COVID as well, and that is what, when we had the children growing up, I didn't know anyone. How I started was with the schools. I started being in the school assemblies, because you read through the textbooks. I'm sorry to say, some of the information which is being taught to the youngsters under the banner of RE is not the correct
Wrong.
image or correct depiction of the facts. So it is our responsibility. If we have come across something which we cannot accept as the truth, we should come forward, put ourselves into a position where we can be the initiators of that change. We might not be, it might not be possible for us to bring that change, but at least you have put that ripple, you have sown that seed of change, and that is your responsibility. It can be in education, it can be in social work. When we talk about the NHS and the COVID was such a huge mirror, because we for NHS have been criticized for not keeping up and long waiting lists. But look at the passion, the zeal of all the NHS workforce.
That's
They
right.
really, such a selfless service performed by especially the nurses and the junior staff. We were hands on, looking after the patients, doing the service, staying away from their family, putting themselves on risk. So all
You
these
brought
things,
very
I
good
think,
points there, actually. You've made some very good
yeah,
points there, because
yeah,
I think when you said about the religious part of it, I remember
yeah,
you stirred a memory in me, because years ago they used to call me to school to talk at the festivals. And they were quite
yeah.
surprised when I'd go Diwali and tell them about Ravan and
Mm,
Lord Rama. And they said, well, this is not what we were told. I said, well, this is the
God, yeah.
actuality. These are the factual things.
Mm,
And calling
yeah.
out the wrong things,
Mm,
calling out and pointing it out in a nice way. But you should do it in a nice, friendly way. We don't want to have a fight with anybody, you know.
absolutely.
We're a peace-loving nation. We
Absolutely.
don't keep it that way.
Yeah.
The other thing, also, what you just
Yeah.
said about the National Health Service, I have
Yeah.
contributed quite a bit there as well, because I've been very involved in raising awareness for genetic
Yeah.
condition, especially thalassemia, because I'm personally
Thalassemia.
interested in that. And I think it's very important because it's a genetic
Incredible.
condition. I'm also very interested in
Incredible.
diabetes, which the Indian community, we happen to have a genetic marker for it. It's not just because we eat laddus and pedas the
Absolutely.
whole day. All these
That
wrong
is,
perceptions
yeah.
people have about us, or that we don't exercise. There's a lot of wrong things that are in
Absolutely.
people's minds. We have to re-educate everybody. I mean, I'm sorry
Very
to say
true.
that in North Harrow, where I live, this is the diabetes capital of the UK, and I think that's terrible.
Yeah,
But
might
I said
be.
it's not enough to say it's terrible. We've got to do something about it. So we are going to do something about it, and get the experts on
Absolutely.
and retrain. But Vandana, I also think it's very important not only just to call out the things that need to be called out, but also to
Yeah.
encourage our children and our young
Yes.
ones. Say one thing, but we
Yeah.
have done. I think a lot of us, a
Yeah.
number of our people have fallen. We came from India. We all obviously came
Yeah.
because everybody wanted a bright future. Nobody just comes to damage
Yes.
themselves. They come here to better
Absolutely.
themselves. And you always hope your children will
Yeah.
do better than you. Now, a lot of our
Absolutely.
Indian people, because we came with so little, we had no resources, no money, nothing. We had to start from literally from scratch. And so we thought we went through a very tough life, made lots of sacrifices. And when our children hear it, they think, were you crazy? How could you have lived like that? Well, we did. We gave up a lot of things, even as newly
Yes.
married couples, in order that we have. And I don't
Yes.
regret it one bit, let me tell you, because that's
Absolutely.
self-made. You're self-made and you feel very proud of yourselves. It's a very conservative value.
Yeah.
And I am conservative, by the way. But that is not just my way of thinking. I'm not doing any kind of a promotion here. But I do believe we have a lot that we can offer our children. We need to encourage our children not just to become doctors and professionals and make a lot of money and go to Oxford and Cambridge. Of course, that is a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful aspiration
Mm.
because that will open the doors to them.
Yeah.
But they must also be more compassionate. We must teach them about giving time and contributing to volunteering. We must train them to get into politics. I find this is
Mm.
where we're stuck now. We have never ever imagined that we should get into politics here, and because without political power, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
You can be the richest
Mhm.
blah blah billionaire here, but you won't be able
Yeah.
to affect change in the government of the country. If you want us to be
Yeah.
important here in the UK and matter,
Mm.
you've got to become councillors, you've got to become mayors, you've got to start at the grassroots level, then you've got to become MPs, then you can work into your way into the cabinet if you're good enough, only on merit,
Yes.
no nonsense.
Yeah.
And then again, if you're good enough and and the people want you, maybe someday a prime minister. I don't know whether this country is ready yet for prime minister, Indian prime minister. We'll have to just wait and see. But whatever the country decides, it'll do at the right time for itself. I really do believe the people here have got a great deal of good common sense. And sometimes things might not work out as we want, sometimes they will. But we have to accept what comes with good grace. I think this is something, learning to lose with
Yeah.
grace is a very important point.
You always, I'm just noticing this a lot, Vanna ji. I don't know if you're also doing it, but Sonu ji is giving those one-liner messages in every say, bit of a talk, which
Yeah.
I'm
It just
grateful
popped
for.
out. Whatever came in my heart, I just said to you
Yeah.
because I
It's the
never
experience probably
It
that's
is.
speaking, and for people like me, they are like words of gem.
It's the
Yeah.
elderly
Yeah.
person in me, the experience probably just popping out
No,
from
so
nowhere. No,
it's
you
not
feel,
just the
something,
age.
Sneha, I'll say one thing. I have never really gone and trained anywhere to talk or make a lecture or something like that.
Yes.
Whatever I've
Yeah.
learned is from the people who I've worked with, whether in the volunteering sector or wherever. You get people from all walks of life, some really, really hotshot people who are probably doing some very high paid jobs, who give up their time in volunteering and come in. And you hear how they
Yes.
speak, how they conduct themselves. You learn to lead from them. You learn how to give in, how to negotiate, all sorts of things. I never ever thought about all these things in my life, even once. I never sit down to think about these things. And people say, how daft you are. If you did, you'd probably go places. I said, I'm very happy to be
You
where I
never
am.
know.
Thank you.
Actually,
Yeah.
what happens is some things, for example, our mothers and all the elderly people
Yeah.
who we have, they have this skill of negotiation. They can do even better than what we are doing at our
Yes,
corporates or probably,
definitely.
anywhere. So it's just something that is inbuilt and it's tacit. You cannot, you cannot actually make anyone learn those by, writing books or things. It's just
Also, I
experience.
think one thing, Sneha, which is very important for us to remember is that when we are in another country, I mean, it's important in our own country from where we originate, we are ambassadors in
Yes.
another
I was going
country.
to
Whether
say
we like
that.
it or not,
Yeah.
unofficially, you, me,
Yeah.
everybody, every one of us is an ambassador. You might
Yes.
have a British
Yeah.
passport, you might be born here, but you are
Yeah.
representing India. What does India
Yes.
stand for? What are their values? How do they behave? What are their
Mm,
traditions? What's
mm.
their culture? I know they all love our food and our tikkas and all the rest of it. That's not the thing. We're not here just to. It's
Yeah.
lovely that they enjoy our food, but and so we enjoy theirs
Yeah.
as well. But the thing is, we must be able to conduct ourselves in a manner that
Mm.
our country feels proud of us, and we
Absolutely.
inspire others to emulate Indians.
Mm.
Now, I know there's a lot of my friends who
Absolutely.
say, "Oh, I love your Indian family way, how you all stick together, how you all help each other right till your dying day, more or less. Our children, often we let them go once they've gone." And that's, of course, not true of every single English family, but of course, the norm here is to let them become independent quite early in life and get on with it. I know the economic circumstances have changed that quite enormously over the last couple of decades,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
and things are probably going to get tougher now.
It
But the
depends
norm,
actually. So cultures are always different in different countries. But yes,
yes,
we do
yes,
represent
there
our
are pluses
homeland
and
in a land
minuses,
where
but
we are flourishing and we want the country to flourish as well. Very well
yes,
said. Vanna ji, over to you. Both of you, Sonu ji, you and Vanna ji yourself, you both did mention that, we have our responsibility, we are representing our nation and everything. But then Vanna ji, I want to know what happens when we are, ourselves suffering in some or the other way. It could be physical, it could be an emotional pain that we are going through. What happens in those times? Have you been through any of that, and should one tackle it?
Yeah.
How did you tackle it?
Yes, Sneha, that's a very lovely question, and as to just to add on to what Sonuji was saying was that if you want to see the change, be it yourself. So be yourself. What the change you want to see in the society, be in your family, be it in yourself. You have to look into that, and I think I have been very much fortunate to be brought up in a family where. Respect to human life and the fundamental message that came even above the religious practices. So we were taught even to say namaste to all our employees, because my dad was a doctor and very he was into community service as well, into politics as well. So mother and father, I saw them doing a lot for the society, for the community, and that is, I think, it imbibed into me unknowingly, unconsciously. And that lesson of being sincere and true to yourself and to whatever job or work you prefer, what you have picked up, any profession, any work, even maybe a simple task like cooking, if even in cooking, when you're cooking, have your devotion and your feelings at that point to that task with purity, love, intentions, good feelings, so that you don't have to regret, or you don't have to be compromising in your life. And I think those values have been somewhere helpful during COVID, which was the time where I had just come back seeing my mother. My mother had been visiting me every year for 6 months. Before COVID, she had a fall, and unfortunately, she was bed stuck. So I had to make the travels to India. So the last visit when I had, she was very poorly, and I promised her I'll come again in 6 weeks, knowing I'll never fulfill that promise. So that was the time where I was going through a lot of emotional insecurity, along with what was happening globally around. I was not alone with that insecurity. There was, like, whole world was going through losses, physical, emotional, financial. People were really going through a uncertain time of trauma, and everyone had to find a way to cope up with it. So when we talk about me, I think I have to thank the technology for bringing Zoom at that point, because I was contacted by a religious organization in India that started meditative sessions in the morning, and somebody was reading good books as well. So that was helping me keep my mind in focus. And for your exercise, when you go for walk, we had been permitted an hour of an exercise every day during the lockdown. So being very lucky and fortunate to be living next to the sea coast, beach is only 5 minutes walk from my home. So I would just walk to the beach, had that meditative reflection, look at the sunrise, click the pictures, and whatever the thoughts came in my mind, I would just share it on WhatsApp or Facebook for my friends who were locked down in their homes somewhere. And I didn't realize what impact or effect those words or those photographs were having on people in that moment of despair. Anytime I tried to post a joke or something else, they didn't like it. Here's your picture. We were waiting for that. So this cumulative journey, collaborative, of having those emotions being penned with, and when you say sunrise, or in UK, you will not definitely get similar kind of a sunrise. It would be a cloudy day or something like that. But I think somehow I had this or thoughts come up of motivation to get through that clouds in relation to COVID. So I think that was like lighting one thought with another, one candle with another. So many people got connected with that thought process, and then we had started on Zoom some Hanuman Chalisa on Tuesday evenings, just for our strength. So people had to be taught how to use Zoom. Most of my elderly friends have never. There was a little bit of input required, a lot of motivation required, and we all uh, survived through that with these motivational quotes. Became a book later on, which I have published myself, and it is 100% non-profit book to go for charity. But that's a tribute to my mother, because I lost her during COVID, and there was no way, there was no flight, there was no way I could go and give her a hug. Yeah, that's something I think will stay forever with me. And how much I practice, I still lose a moment
We are
on that.
very
But
sorry to
just
hear that.
Very sorry to hear that. But
Yeah, but then we really salute
send her a
your
positive thought,
opinion,
and
your
she'll
way
have
of
soul very
dealing with
happy.
a lot of problems. You took into probably meditation, spirituality, and spreading that to other people
Yes,
as well.
and
On that point,
I think
Sonuji,
my
you are
solace.
Actually,
Just
the
one
same
thing
thing
to
is
say. Yeah. If I could just finish off with one solace that I found during my turbulent times, was then connecting to all these people, because everyone had that thing. And on the Zoom, when we did these prayers, or we had this communication or messages to the book or the photographs, how people felt a solace in their despair moment of loss, was something which probably kept me motivated, and kept me going forward as well. So that's it.
I
And
think
that
absolutely.
Hanuman
this
Chalisa is
is
still
something very
lasting.
important. It's a very important thing to say, because it's not just COVID. COVID has just made it all very, very focused,
Apparent.
right from the
Yeah.
beginning, right from day one, from the
Yes.
time you come abroad to another country, you go through ups and downs of all sorts. And as a carer, I'm also a carer. I'm also part of
I
the
was just about to ask that,
Harrow.
when
And when you have a
Mannaji
caring
mentioned
role,
about.
it's a huge responsibility. I mean, I can't begin to tell you. I've been very heavily involved in awareness campaigns for thalassemia. And in fact, I'm thinking we should have another one soon, because otherwise this new generation is going to lose out, in the Indian community. Um, it's it's just one of those things in life. You get your inspiration. People ask you, where do you get your drivers? I said, never thought about it, but I do know that whatever I do in my life, I'm always feeling connected. I feel no matter whether my parents are with me or not, they've passed on as it happens. Whether anybody is with me, I do know that I can feel, even now when I'm sitting here, I can feel there's a good Lord. Whatever I'm saying, it's coming from there, because whatever I know, whatever I am, and all of us learned that Vasudeva Kutumbakam, which means we're all one family. So I don't just pray for us, for me, for my family. You pray for the whole world. You pray for world peace. You don't just let me be wealthy. Let the whole world, thrive and prosper. It's no use saying let only the UK not have inflation, let India have it. Not like that. Everybody, I mean, everybody should be happy is the main thing, is our Hindu tradition. And it's not just Hindu tradition. I think as human beings, as humanitarians, we have to think about compassion, empathy, learning about one another, and what makes you keep going, what makes me keep going. Often I'm working into the wee hours of the night. I've always been a night owl anyway. I hardly sleep 3-4 hours, if that, and I get told off very roundly even now. And I'm very, very deeply connected with my garden. I find nature, so many lessons from nature, so much therapy from nature. No, I mean, I can't do all the deep reading and stuff like I used to do before, but I will be there any day, any time of the day or night. You tell me to get in the garden, I'll go.
Actually, I'm literally enjoying this discussion. It has gone from religion to nature to
Yeah, because you see,
caring to everything. But
we're all
it's just
multifaceted.
that we are
Every one of
constrained
us.
by time. We've
Every
got
single
literally
one
a
of
couple of
us.
minutes. So
Yeah.
last one quick 30 seconds message by you, Sonuji, and then Vandana ji, we would come to you and we would like to listen to two lines.
Okay.
Think about
I'd like
them
to
now.
say, I'd like to say that maybe you can always, very important, always be true to yourself. Be very proud of your rich heritage, whilst appreciating and assimilating the culture of the country, your adopted country, and the people who have taken you so warmly into their bosom, and contribute sincerely, just as you would do for India, and make the society here also safer and better. And then I think it's a huge privilege just to remember and never forget that we are all privileged to be fantastic ambassadors for Bharat Mata. We're going towards our own Independence Day, and reflect the best, how we can help our own country. We can do plenty from here, sitting here. It's not that there's no such thing that, oh, I can't go home. I've been home for nearly 3 years now, and I am fretting. But then I think, how silly. My heart lives there anyway. So what's the point? You can still be in India and still be living here, and you could be anywhere. Just be happy to be in your own skin. Be wonderful to people around you, wherever you are. Just be a good human being, and just be happy.
Perfect. A good one. Vanna ji, over to you. You need to, end this one. I'll let you end this one instead of me ending this one episode, just with a few lines.
Thank you so much. That's a privilege. So you said Bharat Mata ki Jai, and to Jai to both our countries. I hope you can see my flag. And then I think you have summed up all the messages. I agree with what Sonuji said. The best is be true to yourself. And if I have got the privilege to say some words, I'll read one of my poetry from my book, which has got inspiration has no expiry. Because we are talking about inspiring women today, and this is, let the waves today wash away all the fears, because I live close to, so it's waves and sun and sea.